In the last video I posted, I was fitting guards to 4 of these harpoon style buoys. Now it's time to sculpt them. So I thought it'd take you along, show you my process for doing that. First, we need to go down to the table and take a look at some things we need to do when we go to lay this out and do our profile. I've already profiled them to a certain point. I just need to finish them out. Right at this point, I need to make sure I got everything right before I finalize that profile. Then we'll start laying out for the sculpting. And it's very important there because the handle's got to come up to it. Everything has to be just right to look right. So let's take a look. So like I said, I've already got it roughly profiled. You can barely see my scribe lines here. So I've got just a little more to do. I'll bring these up to about 600 grit and hand sand them the rest of the way. But I'll be doing some sculpting here, and of course back here where the finger groove will be. But when I'm laying this guard out, this is of course a single lug guard. What I want is this guard to be almost flush with the top of the tang here. Now I will have a little chamfer on here, so I'll leave just enough room for a chamfer, and I'm pretty close right there. By the time I get done, it'll be there. You don't want this sticking up too high here unless you're having a double lug here. It just don't look very well. As we go further to lay this out, I'm going to want this finger groove to come in here, turn, and be just slightly under the choil area here, so that when my handle comes in here, it will be even across here with my choil. So I have to plan for that. I'll be doing a museum fit handle. So the handle will be a little proud of the guard. So I have to keep that in mind when I lay out this finger choil. It'll come in and be just a little shallower than the choil. All right, so now I'm gonna go finish profiling this guard, and then I will lay it out for the sculpting and finger grooving. Okay, with the profiling completed, and I did a little chamfer around the edge. This just helps it get that sharp edge off of there, going in and out of a sheath, that sort of thing, and it kind of looks pretty good. But we've got our final size here, and also I didn't mention earlier is when you doing your profile, when you go to finishing it up, you want to make sure your center of your guard, or the point of your guard, wherever it ends here, is in the center of your ricasso. If not, you need to fix that before you go forward, because that needs to come out in center of your ricasso. So now what you see here, I've got some layout lines. These are just for reference when I'm gonna go do the sculpting. They're not exact, but they're about 1/8 either side. So I'm gonna be taking that cross section out. I'll be using a small wheel, 3 or 4 inch wheel to do that. And I'll work it all the way up to the final finish. Then I'll come in here and cut the finger groove, and we'll lay that out after I get these cut. I'm gonna go get these cut right now. Quick tip, in between each grit, I always take a blue marker and color, just like I do when I'm grinding bevels. You don't have to use expensive Dykem, just a blue marker, and this will let me see my previous scratches, and I can also tell I'm hitting flat on that bevel. All right, so this is the final grit, and then I'll take it hand sanding from there. I want to make sure everything is even and equal before I move to this step. All All right, with the sculpting all done, everything come out pretty nice. Since they're all matching, I want to try to make them the same as much as I can. But now it's time to lay out the finger groove. And the way I do that is I take the guard, flip it over where the shoulders hit here, because I want the finger groove to come up and around to where when my handle butts up, it's going to be around this height here. I don't want it to be too proud of that. It won't look right. And I'm not taking a measurement. I'm just using this as a kind of like a divider. And so I'm right at the bottom of that shoulder where it's hit. Flip this over. Put me a little mark there. I'll take a scribe. If I can do this without getting in the way and do it straight. And that's where the top of the groove will come up to. So I've already got these marked, and I'm going to take a 1 inch or a 1/2 inch wheel rather, cut this out and work up to a final finish, around 600 or so, and then I'm going to hand sand the whole thing, but I'm going to go ahead and cut up to it and give this a circular pattern like it is at the top. Not as aggressive, but as much as I can where it looks nice. So let's get to cutting. I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch wheel to cut this finger groove. Now, I've got my mark here where I'm going to go up to. I've also drilled my lineup pinholes before I cut this. And I've just got some reference marks here. Now, this is not set in stone, but it just gives me an idea where I'm at as I'm grinding. Now, I will grind the groove, and I will also give it a contour like this top is here. It don't have to be exact, but I don't want it square down here. Then I will finish up with a slack belt to get that curve really smooth and clean. Then I will hand sand it from there. All right, that makes number 4. I could still do a little more polishing, and I probably will before I do the final assembly, but I'll go ahead and start working on handles now. I still have to etch the logo, and then I'll do one more pass on the flats, and we'll be ready for assembly. Now, these will be, a satin finish, and that's what I'm going for here. I don't do mirror finishes. I may do mirrors on some facets like these facets right here. Sometimes I will mirror polish these sculpted areas, but these will all be satin finished. And just take a look here, and you can see the look of the finished guard. And as you can see what I was talking about, I hope you can see the bottom of this guard here is parallel to this ricasso area right here. That way when my handle comes in, actually it's slightly under some. So when my handle's finished, the handle will be parallel with the ricasso. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this. If you got any questions, leave them down in the comments. I thank you for watching. I want to thank my patrons, and we're going to see you on the next one.